Welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to crochet this chunky marshmallow stitch baby cardigan. It's absolutely beautiful and very easy to make. I hope you like it. The little cardigan that we're going to make in the tutorial is for baby boys and girls between 3 and 6 months, but you can easily make it smaller or bigger from 0 to 3 months and up to 12 months. Down here in the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. Now, if you prefer to use lighter weight yarn like DK weight number 3 or A ply, in my channel I have the same little cardigan with matching baby pants and a little hat, so I will leave the link to those tutorials in the information box as well. And as always, if you prefer written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop up here on the right hand side and in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support. Now, to make this little cardigan, this is the yarn that I used. This is a bulky number 5 yarn. You can also use chunky weight or 12 ply. For the 3 to 6 month size, you're going to need about 149 grams, 121 grams in white, and about 28 grams in blue. You will need less or more depending on the size that you make. You will also need 4 20mm size buttons. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Don't forget to subscribe, activate the notifications bell, and remember, all of my tutorials are always in English and in Spanish. Thanks so much for watching. To make this little sweater, I'll be using this 5.5mm crochet hook. This is a size 9 US hook. Now, I'm also using this bulky number 5 yarn. At the beginning of the video, I showed you the yarn that I'm using, and I told you how much yarn we're going to need for the size that we're making. When I showed you the marshmallow baby cardigan, many of you commented and asked that I make a version using thicker yarn. So here it is. I hope you like it. In the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you that little cardigan where I used a lighter weight yarn. So here to begin, I have 45 chains. Without stretching this chain, it's measuring about 13.5 inches, which is about 34 centimeters. If your chain is off by 1 or 2 centimeters, it's okay. Continue with the first row. So here to begin with the first row, I'm going to make a double crochet into the 4th chain from the hook. 1, 2, 3, 4. Into this 4th chain here, make a double crochet. Now, these 3 chains here at the beginning counts as 1 double crochet. So here in total, I have 2 double crochets. I'm going to make a total of 6, and this is going to be for the first front panel. So into the next chain, make a double crochet. That's 3, 4, 5, 6. Now I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to go into the next chain, and for the sleeve I'm going to make a total of 9 double crochets. But before I continue, I'm going to place a stitch marker here in the chain space to mark this first corner. So here so far I have 6 double crochets including the 3 chains, and I chain 1, that's the first corner, and into the next chain I did a double crochet. For the sleeves I'm going to do a total of 9. So into the next chain, make a double crochet. That's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There, I have 9 double crochets. This is for the first sleeve. Now for the second corner, chain 1, and into the next chain, make a double crochet. And before you continue, place a stitch marker to mark this second corner. Now for the back side, I'm going to make a total of 13 double crochets. So into the next chain, make a double crochet and continue until you have 13 double crochets. I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I finished making these 13 double crochets for the back side. We have the second corner, then I made 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 double crochets. Now chain 1 for the third corner and into the next chain, make a double crochet, place a stitch marker to mark the third corner, and now for the second sleeve, I'm going to make a total of 9 double crochets. So here I have 2 and into the next another double crochet until you have 9. I'll come back and show you how we're going to make the fourth corner. I finished making these 9 double crochets for the second sleeve. Now to make the fourth corner, chain 1 and into the next chain, make a double crochet. Here you should be left with 6 double crochets. So all we're going to do is just make 1 double crochet on each chain, and that's going to be for the second front panel. Make sure to place a stitch marker in the fourth corner. So finish this first row and then I'll come back and show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of this first row. Now in this row we have separated the sleeves, the front panels, and the back side. At the end of this row I have a total of 43 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 6 stitches. On this side we have the 3 chains, which counts as 1 double crochet. Then for each one of the sleeves I have 9, and for the back side I have 13. So now for row 2, chain 2 and turn. These 2 chains will never count as a stitch. They're just there so that this part here of the yoke is nice and straight once it's done. Here to begin, beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet, making sure to go through both loops. Now for each remaining stitch, we're going to make these double crochets through the back loop only, like this. So 1 double crochet for each stitch here. Here you should have 6. There. Now when you come to the corner, remove the stitch marker, and in the chain space here make 2 double crochets. Now return the stitch marker to the center between these 2. That is the corner. In the next row, that is where we're going to make our increases. I don't want to add a chain because it's going to create a big gap like here. You can add a chain if you want. I'm not going to. And then again here for the next section, through the back loop, I'm going to make 1 double crochet on each stitch until I come to the next corner, where I'm going to do the same thing, 2 double crochets. Continue like this to the end of this second row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the second row. Now to finish here at the end into the last stitch, which are the 3 chains, on top of the third chain here, insert your hook and make your last double crochet. And this is how I finish this second row with a total of 51 double crochets. We have increased 8 more stitches in this row. So each one of the front panels has 7 stitches, each of the sleeves has 11, and for the back side I have 15. Now for row 3, chain 2 and turn. Now beginning on top of this first double crochet, make a double crochet. Now in this row I'm going to go through the front loop of this stitch and make a double crochet. This is so that from now on, when we finish the yoke, this here is going to be the front, and there's going to be like a line here right in the center of the row. So it's going to give it a nice finish. So we're going to alternate between a row where you do it through the back loop and another row where you do it through the front loop only. Again, if you prefer to just go through both loops, it's fine. You can do it that way. That's another option. I'm going to do it like this because I like how this looks. So in this row, row 3 is being worked on the wrong side. So you're going to go through the front loop of the stitch like this. And this is how it looks on this side. See how there's that line right in the center? That's what we want. So here we have the first corner. So into each corner, make sure you place a stitch marker, otherwise you're going to get lost as to where you're going to make these increases. So here in the middle, make 2 double crochets. And you're going to do the same thing for each corner. Return your stitch marker right in the center of these two and continue along, making 1 double crochet through the front loop only of each stitch. And when you come to the corners, you're going to do the same thing I just did here, 2 double crochets. Make sure to place the stitch marker in between those 2 stitches. So continue like this to the end of this 3rd row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the 3rd row now, here to make my last double crochet. Make sure that here at the end, just like we did here at the beginning, you go through both loops. This is so that the last stitch and the first stitch are nicely reinforced. So here is the 3rd row. At the end of this 3rd row, I have a total of 59 double crochets. Each one of the front panels has 8 stitches. Each one of the sleeves has 13, and for the back side, I have 17. Now for the 4th row, chain 2 and turn. Now the 4th row is going to be worked on the right side, so I'm going to place a stitch marker to mark the front of the little sweater. That way I don't forget, although you can clearly see the design here of the yoke. Now, beginning on top of the first stitch through both loops, make a double crochet. Now in this row, I need to make my double crochets through the back loop. So into each one of these double crochets through the back loop only, make a double crochet until you come to the first corner. I have 8 double crochets, 2, 4, 6, 8. I have the corner, remove the stitch marker in this space here in the middle of these 2 double crochets. Here we're going to change. We're going to make 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets. Return the stitch marker to mark the corner. And now, beginning on top of the next double crochet, make sure you pull these stitches so that you can see the top of this stitch. Through the back loop, make a double crochet and continue like this until you come to the next corner, where you're going to do exactly the same thing I did here. 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, and that's how you're going to work each corner. The important thing in this row is that you go through the back loop. Here at the end, to finish on top of the last stitch, right here, through both loops, make your last double crochet. I'll meet you at the end of this 4th row. I finished the 4th row. Here at the end, through both loops of the last stitch, I did my last double crochet. At the end of this 4th row, I have a total of 75 stitches. Each one of the front panels has 10, each one of the sleeves has 17, and for the back side, I have 21. Now for row 5, chain 2 and turn. Beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet. Now in this row, we're going to be making V-stitches. So here I'm going to skip the next double crochet and into the next, which is the 3rd double crochet if you count from the beginning. 1, 2, 3. On top of this stitch, through both loops, make a V-stitch. Each V-stitch is going to consist of a double crochet, 1 chain, double crochet. Skip 1 and into the next, a V-stitch. Skip 1 and into the next, a V-stitch. Skip 1 and into the next, a V-stitch. Skip the last stitch for this front panel, and in the first chain space of the first corner, make a V-stitch. Now skip the next double crochet and into the next, make a V-stitch. Skip 1 and into the next, a V-stitch. I'm going to show you this part until I come to the second corners. So skip 1 and on top of the next, a V-stitch. skip one, and in the chain space of the second corner, make a V-stitch. And now you're going to continue and repeat the same thing for the stitches here for the back side. Skip one, and into the next a V-stitch. You're going to continue like this all around for this 5th row. Skip one, and into the next a V-stitch. So here you're going to make a V-stitch, 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 and in the chain space of the 3rd corner, V-stitch, skip the next, V-stitch, 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 and in the chain space of the 4th corner, a V-stitch, skip one, V-stitch, 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 and then a double crochet on top of the last. Continue, finish this 5th row. I'll meet you at the end. I finished the 5th row. Now here at the end, on top of the last double crochet, I did a double crochet, and this is how I finished this 5th row. Row 5 was worked on the wrong side. Now the yoke is done as it is. It's measuring about 9 centimeters, which is about 3.5 inches. In the next row, we're going to divide the sleeves. So that's going to be row 1 of the body. And row 1 of the body, where we separate the sleeves, is going to be worked on the right side. Now, let me give you the stitch count for row 5. At the end of row 5, each one of the front panels has 4 V-stitches, not counting the stitches here in the corner. Each one of the sleeves has 8, and for the back side, I have 10. So that's a total of 34 V-stitches plus 4, 1 for each corner. So that's a total of 38 V-stitches at the end of the 5th row. So here to continue, we're going to start with the stitch pattern. This is the marshmallow stitch pattern. It consists of 2 rows, a V-stitch row, which I did here on the 5th row, and then the fan row, which I'm going to do in row 1 of the body. So here to begin, chain 2 and turn. So here to begin, on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet. Now we have a V-stitch, we have 2 double crochets and a chain space. Into the first double crochet, make a front post double crochet. Now in the chain space, make a fan. Each fan is going to consist of 2 double crochets, 1 chain, 2 double crochets, all in that chain space, and then a front post double crochet. Again, we have the next V-stitch, make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, two double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then a front post double crochet. And that's how you're going to work each one of the V-stitches. Here I'm going to continue until I come to the first corner. Here's the corner V-stitch, so same thing. Front post double crochet, a fan, front post double crochet. So here I have 5 for the front panel now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including here the corner. Now to separate the first sleeve, I'm not going to make any chains here, but if you want to add, you can add more chains to add to the chest measurement. For the size that I'm making, there's no need to add more chains. So here to separate the sleeve, do not chain or anything, just skip 2, 4, 6, 8, and into the next corner, I already removed the stitch marker here, make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. And now you're just going to continue here for the back side and do the same thing for each one of the V-stitches until you come here to the third corner. I will meet you right here to show you how we're going to separate the second sleeve. I finished making these fans for the back side. I have 12. That's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Now the last one here, I did it in the third corner. Now to separate the second sleeve, skip 8, 2, 4, 6, 8, and in the fourth corner, make a front post double crochet, a fan, front post double crochet, and then continue and do the same thing for each one of the remaining V-stitches for the second front panel. I will meet you here at the end of this first row to show you what we need to do next. I finished the first row. This is where we have separated the sleeve, and it's the first row of the body, which was worked on the right side. At the end of this first row, I have 22 fans. Each front panel has 5, and for the back side, I have 12. Now for row 2, we're going to chain 2 and turn, beginning on top of the first double crochet, make a double crochet. In this row we're going to make V-stitches, and the V-stitches are going to go in the chain space of each fan, just like this. Jump to the next fan and make a V-stitch, and so on. Remember, each V-stitch is a double crochet, 1 chain, double crochet. Continue like this for this second row. I'll meet you at the end. I'm here at the end of the second row. Here at the end, on top of the last double crochet, make a double crochet. And this is how I finished the second row. In this row I did V-stitches, and I have a total of 22 V-stitches. The V-stitch row is always going to be worked on the wrong side. The fan row is always going to be worked on the right side. So now for row 3, chain 2 and turn. Now in this row, we're going to make the row of fans, and we're going to do them exactly how we did the first row. We make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. Front post double crochet again into the next V-stitch, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. And that's how you're going to work each V-stitch. At the end of each row, you're always going to have 22 fans or 22 V-stitches. Continue like this, just repeating these 2 rows. I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to do here, but continue watching. I will let you know exactly how many rows I'm going to do. So continue, and I'll meet you at the end of that row. I finished making this part of the little sweater for the body. I have done a total of 9 rows. We have the row of fans, which is the first row here for the body, since the row V-stitch was done here as part of the yoke. So we have row 1, then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Row 9 was a row of fans. Here at the end, I cut my yarn and passed my yarn through that last loop. As it is, it's measuring from the top of the shoulder to the end of the last row. It's measuring about 24 centimeters, which is about 9.5 inches. Now we're going to start the hem. Row 9 was worked on the right side, so the first row of the hem here is going to be worked from the wrong side. I'm going to change to this second color. I'm going to use this blue. It's the same yarn and the same weight, just a different color. If you're not changing yarn color, then just go ahead and chain 1 and turn. Here to begin, chain 1, and right on top of this last double crochet, make a half double crochet. Now inside each fan, you're going to make 2 half double crochets. Then 1 half double crochet in between 2 fans. Again, 2 half double crochets in the chain space of each fan, and then a half double crochet in the middle of 2 fans. And this is how I'm going to continue to the end of this first row. I'm here at the end of the first row of the hem. Here to finish on top of the last stitch, make a half double crochet. And this is how I finish this row with a total of 67 half double crochets. Now for row 2 and 3, we're going to chain 1 and turn. Beginning on top of the first stitch, make a half double crochet. Now with the next stitch, the second one counting from the beginning, we're going to start with a front post half double crochet. Next one, back post half double crochet. Next one, front post half double crochet. Next one, back post half double crochet, and so on. This is how we're going to continue to the end of the second row, just alternating between front post and back post half double crochets. To finish the row here at the end on top of the last stitch, you're going to make a half double crochet on top, chain 1, turn for the third row, and then repeat the same thing, front post and back post half double crochets. I'll meet you at the end of the third row. I finished the third row of the hem. Now here at the end on top of the last stitch, I did a half double crochet. Now we're going to continue along this right front panel along the very edge. We're going to do the same thing we did here. So to begin, I'm going to chain 1, and here at the end of this third row of the hem, make a half double crochet. At the end of the second row, a half double crochet, and at the end of this first row, a half double crochet. So here I have 3 half double crochets because I did 3 rows. Now we have row 9 of the body. This is a fan row. Here at the end, I have these 2 chains. Make 1 half double crochet. At the end of the next row, it's the V-stitch row. Make 2 half double crochets. Again, at the end of the next, 1. At the end of the next, 2. And this is how we're going to continue all the way to the top. So continue. I will meet you up here. For the yoke, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to do 2 here, then 1, 2, 1, 2. I'll meet you here at the top. I'm here at the top of this first front panel. Row 1 is being worked on the wrong side. Now here at the top, right into this row of chains, make 1 half double crochet. Now I have a total of 25 half double crochets for this side. If you have 1 or 2 stitches less or more, it's okay. The important thing is that when you do the second side, you make the same number of stitches. So here to continue, chain 1 and turn for the second row, beginning on top of the first half double crochet, make a half double crochet. Into the next, make a front post half double crochet. Into the next, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. Continue like this to the end of this second row. I will meet you here at the end. I finished making the second row. This is where I did front post and back post half double crochets. Now here at the end on top of the last stitch, I did a half double crochet. Now for the third row, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to work the crab stitch here along the very edge. You can also chain 1, turn, and then do 1 more row of front post and back post half double crochets. I'm not going to do that because I don't want this to be too wide. So to start this third row, I'm going to chain 1. Now for the crab stitch, I'm going to go back into each one of these stitches. So like this, I'm going to insert my hook from front to back, grab a loop, and make a single crochet. Insert your hook from front to back into the next stitch, grab a loop, and make a single crochet. And this is the crab stitch. And this is how the front panel looks. Here's the wrong side and here's the right side. Now we're going to continue here along the neckline. So here, go into the next row, the second row of the front panel, and make a half double crochet. Oops, make a half double crochet here. And into the first row, a half double crochet. Now we have this stitch here, the first stitch of the yoke right here where we have these 2 stitches. So right on top of that stitch, make a half double crochet also. Now we have the next stitch, this one here. So here you're going to start with a front post half double crochet, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. If you rather do half double crochets on top of the stitches, that's fine too. I'm going to work this part exactly how we're doing the front panels and the hem. So front post and back post half double crochets. So continue like this. I will meet you here at this other end to show you how we're going to work the second front panel. I finished this row around the neckline. This row was worked on the wrong side. I have 45 half double crochets. If you have 1 or 2 stitches less or more, it's okay. Now here at the end into the third chain, I did a half double crochet. Now for the second front panel, this is going to be row 1 of the second front panel, and it's going to be worked on the wrong side. So here, chain 1 at the end of the last stitch here for the neckline, make a half double crochet. At the end of the first row of the neckline, make 1. At the end of the next row, make 2. And then 1 at the end of the next. 2 at the end of the next row. And then 1, and so on. This part here is the same how we did the first front panel. Continue. I will meet you right here at the end of this first row to show you what we need to do next. I finished the first row. For the second front panel, I have 25 half double crochets. Now for row 2, chain 1 and turn. Beginning on top of the first stitch, make a half double crochet. Now into the next, make a front post half double crochet. Next one, back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, and so on. Continue like this for this second row. I will meet you here at the top. I finished the second row. For the second front panel, this second row was worked on the right side. Now for row 3, we're going to chain 1. In this third row, I'm going to do the row of crab stitch here. So I'm going to chain 1, and beginning into the last stitch, insert your hook, grab a loop, and close. Go back to the next, grab a loop, close, into the next, grab a loop, close. Here we're going backwards. It's like making a single crochet but backwards, and that creates the crab stitch. Continue like this. I'll meet you here at this other end to show you how we're going to make the sleeves. I finished the third row for the second front panel. Now this third row is where I did the crab stitch. Here at the end, I did a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop. So this part here is done. Now, as you can see, I went ahead and attached my buttons. These are 20mm size, and the spaces in between the rows of half double crochets are your buttonholes. I did not make any buttonholes because there's plenty of holes here that are big enough for buttons to fit through. Depending on the size that you're making, you can use anywhere from 15 up to 20mm size, which is what I used here. So make sure that whatever buttons you're going to use, that it fits through this hole. Now this little sweater is for boys, so I attached my buttons on this side. If you're making it for girl, then you would attach your buttons on this side, and then this side is where your buttonholes are going to be. Again, it's the spaces in between the rows that are going to be your buttonholes. So this part here is done, and this is how it looks. Now we're going to make the sleeves. I already went ahead and did this side, so let me show you here. With the sweater facing me, we're going to go here to the right side, and we're going to go right under the sleeve. These are the two fans that I did when I divided the sleeves. So right in the middle of these two fans, right under the sleeve, insert your hook there, grab a loop, bring it through, and chain 3. 1, 2, 3. Now for this sleeve, I have a total of 8 V-stitches. I'm going to go into the first V-stitch, and I'm going to make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space. This part here is the same how we worked the row of fans. So 2 double crochets, chain 1, 2 double crochets, and then a front post double crochet. And this is how we're going to work each one of the V-stitches all around the sleeve for a total of 8. So continue like this. I'll meet you here at this other end to show you how we're going to finish this first row for the first sleeve. I'm here at the end of the first row. For the first sleeve, I have a total of 8 fans, and in the center I have the 3 chains. Now to finish this row, we're going to go here in the chain 3 space and join with a slip stitch. Now what I'm going to do next is the row V stitches, and the V stitches go inside the chain space of each fan. So here to begin, I need to make 3 slip stitches. So I'm going to make one on top of the next double crochet, on top of the next, and the third in the chain space. Once here, I'm going to chain 4 and then make a double crochet. This here is the first V-stitch. Now jump to the next fan, and in the chain space, make a V-stitch. Jump to the next fan and repeat the same thing until we finish this second row. Continue. I will meet you here at the end to show you what we need to do next. I'm here at the end of the second row. In this row I did V-stitches. I have 8. To finish, we always go here to the side where we have the 4 chains and join with a slip stitch. Now for row 3, we're going to start the row of fans. So to start this row, you always chain 1, and then you're going to make a front post double crochet, and you're going to make it around these 3 chains, which counts as the first double crochet. So make a front post double crochet, and in the chain space of this first V-stitch, make a fan. From now on, these are the 2 rows that you're going to repeat, the row of V-stitches and the row of fans. And here make a front post double crochet. Again, we have the next V-stitch, make a front post double crochet, a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. Continue like this for this third row. I'll meet you at the end to show you once again how to start the row V stitches, and then you're going to continue on your own. I'm here at the end of the third row. I have a total of 8 fans. Now to finish this row of fans, you're just going to go here to the side on top of the first double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now to start the row V stitches, you're going to make 3 slip stitches. A slip stitch on top of the next double crochet, a slip stitch on top of the next, and then a slip stitch inside the chain space of the first fan. Once here, you're going to chain 4. The 3 chains counts as the first double crochet, and then a chain space, and then a double crochet. So this here is the first V-stitch, and then you're going to go into each fan in the chain space and make a V-stitch. And that's how you're going to continue all around. To finish the 4th row, you're going to join here to the beginning with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing I did here in the 3rd row. I did a front post double crochet around the 3 chains, and then I did a fan in the chain space, and then a front post double crochet. So these are the 2 rows that you're going to repeat from here on, and we're going to do this for a total of 8 rows. This is the row V stitches that's part of the yoke. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're going to do a total of 8 rows row 8 is going to be a V-stitch row, and then we're going to do the cuff. So continue, finish these 8 rows, and then I'll come back and show you how to make the cuff. I finished making these 8 rows for this sleeve. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 8 is the row of V-stitches. So now we're going to make the cuff. For the cuff, I did 1 row of front post and back post half double crochets in white, and then I changed to the blue and did 2 rows of the same thing. So here to start off, for row 1 of the cuff, we're going to chain 1. We have these 3 chains here. Make a front post half double crochet. Into the next double crochet of this first V-stitch, make a back post half double crochet, front post half double crochet into the next, back post half double crochet into the next, and so on. This is how I'm going to work this first row of the cuff, just alternating between front post and back post half double crochets. At the end of this row, I'm going to have 16 half double crochets. I finished this row of front post and back post half double crochets. This is row 1 of the cuff. Now here to finish, just go here to the side where we have the first half double crochet and join with a slip stitch. Now I'm going to change yarn color, but if you're not changing, then just go ahead and chain 1. The rest is the same. I cut my yarn already, so I'm just going to pass my yarn through this last loop, and with the blue yarn here, go on top of the same stitch, the first one, the same one that we joined to, grab a loop, bring it through, and chain 1. Now for row 2 and 3, we're going to repeat the same thing. Chain 1 and then work these stitches exactly how they are. The first one is a front post, so make a front post half double crochet. The next one, back post half double crochet. Next one, front post half double crochet, and so on. This is how I'm going to continue all around for the second row. To finish, go here to the top of the first stitch, join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then repeat the same thing for row 3. Continue, finish these 2 rows, and then I'll come back and show you the finished little sweater, and I will also give you the finished measurements. I finished making the cuff here at the end of the 3rd row. I just joined to the beginning with a slip stitch, cut my yarn, and passed my yarn through that last loop. So the sleeves are all done. Now you're going to do exactly the same thing I did here. You're going to do it here for the second sleeve. It's done exactly in the same way. So this little sweater is all done using chunky weight yarn. It's super cute. I love how this turned out. So I hope you like it as well. So now let me give you the finished measurements. The total length of the sleeve from the top of the neckline to the end of the cuff, it's measuring about 10 inches, which is about 25.5 centimeters. From under the sleeve to the end of the sleeve, it's measuring about 6.5 inches, which is about 16.5 centimeters. Now this measurement here right across, it's measuring about 4.5 inches, which is about 11.5 centimeters. The total length from the top of the shoulder to the end here of the hem, it's measuring about 10.5 inches, which is about 27 centimeters. And the chest measurement, just the top, it's measuring about 10 inches, which is about 25.5 centimeters. So based on these measurements, this little sweater is for baby boys and girls between 3 and 6 months old. You can easily make it smaller from 0 to 3 months and up to 12 months. Down here in the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you some information on how you can easily make it smaller or bigger, so be sure to check that out. Now in my channel, I already have a tutorial with the same design. I have the matching little pants, these here. These are for 0 to 3 months, along with the little jacket or cardigan. This one is also for 0 to 3 months. So if you want to see this tutorial in the information box, I'll go ahead and leave you the link. To make the little cardigan and the little pants, I used DK weight yarn. You can also use number 3 or 8 ply. For this one here, we used chunky weight yarn. As many of you commented when I uploaded that tutorial that you wanted a little sweater using chunky weight yarn, so here it is. I hope you like it. What else? Oh, the yarn. You're going to need a total of 149 grams for the 3 to 6 month size. I used about 121 grams in white and about 28 grams in blue. You can make the whole thing all in one color, and you can make it for boys and girls. Just remember that the buttonholes for girls are going to go on this side right here, and the buttons are going to be attached to this side. For boys, I did the opposite. My buttons are on this side, and this side is where I have my buttonholes. And again, the buttonholes are the spaces in between the rows of half double crochets. Okay, so this was today's tutorial. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time. And remember, if you prefer a written pattern, check out my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link to my Etsy shop in the information box below. Thank you so much for your support.